So I see some participants have joined us, and I just want to welcome everybody and just invite you to make yourselves as comfortable as you can be. So just taking these next few moments before we actually begin to nourish yourself, to hydrate yourself, maybe stretch. I know it's been a full day, so maybe your body wants to stretch or shake out, whatever feels good to you. And as people start to trickle in, you've probably been asked to do this numerous times over the course of the day, but I'd love for you to put in the chat box where you are. Hello, Amir. Wonderful to see your name. I'd love for you to put where you are connecting in from. It's always so fun to feel this global family. Portland, Oregon. Thank you, Sandra. Yeah. I love this aspect of Zoom where we can gather the human family together and feel our connection. And Phoenix, wonderful Lisa, welcome. I'm actually in Sedona, Arizona. I feel very blessed to be here. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. You may have heard of it. You may have even been here. We'll just take just a few more minutes to, yeah, it is, Lisa says. We'll just take a few more minutes to allow people to arrive and to settle in. And just know that in our conversation together today, because I do consider it a conversation, I feel the energy exchange happening, um, that I'm going to be speaking to what you already know deep within, an intelligence that lives within your body. So don't feel like you have to take copious notes. Just allow yourself to be present, to enjoy, to allow my words to come into you. Sandra says Sedona is a powerful place. Indeed, it is. Yeah, it's one of those places where you you really belong here, or you can't stay. And sometimes people try to leave and they can't leave. So it is a very, very interesting place for sure. I've been here 12 years myself. So I guess I'm meant to be here. So for those of you that just recently hopped on, I just want to invite you to tend to your own comfort. Get a drink of water, get a snack, stretch. Feel into your body, feel what your body is wanting from you. So, wow, what an incredible day. Amazing. All these incredible guides and mentors and speakers, and we have Deepak Chopra yet to come. I'm sure you're going to leave here at the end of the day just so full of so much wisdom and sharing and connection and heart. So much richness to be had. So just a couple more minutes till we begin, just to give people who are running over from the last talk to be able to join. And as I sit here, I really feel such a sense of honor to be here with you. Sense of honor to be here with you, a sense of tremendous gratitude to Guidely for inviting me into this opportunity have a conversation with you all around breath is prayer. So I just want to give you a heads up about the way that I speak, that you're going to hear me pause. You might even see me close my eyes. And what I'm doing is really feeling into this moment, feeling into this group, feeling into what most wants to be spoken in that moment, because I don't want to speak by rote. I don't want to I want to feel into this group. I want to feel into this collective. I want to feel what you are drawing out of me and what wants to come through me in the moment. And so I'm going to take my time. And even though this is a conversation I've had for many, many, many years, I've never spoken it the same way, because each individual and each group brings something out different in me. And so when you see me pausing, when you see me maybe even closing my eyes, I'd love to invite you to do the same and see what is arising in you in that moment. What emotion may be coming up as a result of what was just spoken? What sensation is alive in your body at that time? And you don't have to wait for me to do that. You can do that at any time, because that's what this is about. And so without further ado, I'm going to begin. I'm going to start off once again by thanking Guidely and by thanking all of you for being here with me. I feel really, really touched, really moved to share myself, my work with you. Thank you. Thank you. So my name is Gwen, and I am founder of Inspired Sedona and Breath is Prayer. So I have a little something I want to share with you about the name Breath is Prayer. Breath is Prayer came to me in a breathwork journey many years ago as what I should be calling the breathwork that I was facilitating with people. But ironically, at the time, I had no relationship to prayer, none. I grew up in an atheist and agnostic family. And even though my spirituality had started to develop in my 20s and continued to do so, I just had never really found my way with prayer. And so when this came through, I didn't quite know what to make of it. And so I didn't really use that name. But it kind of sat somewhere in the recesses of my being as, when the time is right, when I'm really feeling it, I'll reconnect, maybe. And then existence, the universe, has a way of calling in what it is that we need to open us up. And that opening was a few years later, a breakup that was very impactful in my life, because my partner and I had been working together, and this breakup was devastating emotionally, devastating financially. And at the time, I really felt like I was at a rock bottom, and I didn't have any money. I didn't have a job. And even though I was looking for one, it just wasn't forthcoming. And so I had a lot of time on my hands. And serendipitously, somebody handed me a book one day and said, "You got to read this book." And it was a book that I highly recommend by Tasha Silver called Change Me Prayers. And so I dove into that book, and that book became my lifeline, non-denominational prayers. And I sat every day and read those prayers out loud, sometimes literally up to a couple of hours a day. Because what was happening is that I could feel things moving inside me. I could feel burdens being lifted as I started to train my mind through these prayers to surrender to surrender my life over, to surrender, not taking action, because yes, I was looking for jobs and yes, I was taking actions, but to not sit there and ruminate and try to plan every single detail of my life, because that was not supportive to me. That was not helping me in the slightest. It was actually making me feel worse. And so I was learning how to surrender with my mind. And then, as I was already a breath worker, I brought my breath in. So I created this combination at the time. For me, that was my therapy, of praying and breathing and praying and breathing and breathing and praying. And the breath brought the prayer into me in a visceral way. I could feel the embodiment of the surrender. I could feel the experience of a greater intelligence having its way with me through the breath, emptying me out, opening me up. And so I started to use this name, Breath is Prayer, and I've been using it ever since. And in fact, it was the first thing I thought of when I came to title my presentation today. It was just, of course, this is what I'm going to call it. Breath is Prayer. It's so meaningful to me. And then I'm going to make a slight confession. I am not super organized. And so Guidely sent us all kinds of wonderful, supportive emails on how to really present ourselves in the best possible way, create the title that is really going to speak to people. Well, I didn't discover this email until after I had put the title. And in the email from Guidely, there's a headline analyzer. Like, you can see through this analyzer how strong your title is. And so it was too late to change my title because, well, it was already out there. People had signed up. But I just thought for fun, I'd try it out. And, well, I didn't get very high marks at all. Not at all. So I thought, well, nonetheless, I think everybody at this time could use a little more breath, could use a little more prayer. And so I'm so grateful to you that you answered this call. Breath is prayer. And what a time. What a time of change. What a time of uncertainty. What a time of transition. What a time to be in the unknown. And the call to learn how to navigate, right? How to navigate these turbulent times, how to be with perhaps the losses. So, breath, I mean, can we not use more oxygen, more life force energy, more consciousness, more connection to something greater at this time, now more than ever? What could possibly be more empowering than to breathe more fully than we are now? Because I'm going to tell you something. I don't even need to see you to know that you are not breathing to your fullest capacity. Now, maybe over the course of this conversation, your breath has already started to shift, or maybe you catch yourself holding your breath or breathing shallowly. And I simply know this because it is documented. People all over the world are breathing poorly, really poorly. What does that mean? It means that the bulk of the day, people are barely breathing. Just to give you one idea of how little people are breathing, I'm going to share a statistic with you. It's one statistic, but it'll give you a really good idea. The average American adult is said to breathe at 30% of their capacity. Okay? 30% of their capacity. So that already probably doesn't sound so great to you. But imagine this. When we're born, if we're healthy babies, we're born breathing at 100% of our functional capacity. 100% to 30%. Wow, right? And so, how do you think we're living if we're breathing at such a reduced capacity? And there may be those of us that do yoga, that may meditate and incorporate breathing techniques. There may be those of us that work out. So, we're going to be higher up than the 30%, but nowhere near how we came into life breathing. And that big, easy, natural, full breath that lasted into early childhood. There's a saying that really sums it up. The way you breathe is the way you live. So to me, if we're breathing at such a reduced capacity, we're living in survival mode. And I'll tell you, sometimes that's how it feels like I'm living. So that's sometimes how it seems the people around me are living, in survival mode. Not enough time, not enough money, not enough love, not enough energy, not enough health. And so what do we do when we feel like we're in scarcity? Often we work harder out here to try to get more of those things. But if we're not alive, none of those things matter, right? So my premise is, let's come back to this foundational building block of allowing more of life itself to flow through us, because breath is life, right? Without breath, we're not here. So here we are as babies and toddlers, and our birthright is to experience this abundance of oxygen, life force, energy, consciousness, connection to spirit flowing through us. You can see that in small children. You can see their fluidity. You can see the energy move through them. You can see the luminosity. And that flow gets reduced to a little trickle by the time we're adults, that 30%. So, do you wonder why that happens? Has that thought crossed your mind? Why on earth would we learn to control our breathing? Because that's essentially what we're doing. We're controlling our own breathing unconsciously, of course. And we are the only species on this planet that controls their breathing. Clearly not to our benefit. So you may have all kinds of ideas popping up in your head, and you're undoubtedly right. There are a lot of reasons that lend themselves to this habit, because it is a deeply ingrained unconscious habit that feels normal. Environmental pollution, shock, trauma, danger, so on and so forth. But over the 20 years that I have been facilitating breathwork, the main reason that I see that people are controlling their breathing and their body is due to the socialization process. What do I mean by that? Think of this. Impulses are waves of energy that move through our physical body. These waves of energy, these impulses get expressed in emotions, vocalization, verbalization, facial expressions, body movements, right? And in babies and toddlers, these impulses, these waves of energy are authentically, spontaneously expressed. Whatever comes up, comes out. No filter. So what do we learn as we are raised about authentic, spontaneous expression of energy? Is it typically okay or not okay? And I bet that I'm hearing you say, typically it is not okay. And that message gets delivered literally right out of the gate. A baby crying is more often than not told, shh. Now that may be said kindly, it may be well-intentioned, but nonetheless, that sound means to be quiet. And that message to not express ourselves authentically is delivered every single day from our families, from our schools, religious institutions if we attend them, even out in public from complete strangers. Don't know, stop. To the point where we learn to feel unsafe expressing ourselves authentically. We might get scolded, we might get punished, we might get humiliated. And so we unconsciously learn as impulses rise up within us to suppress, to hold them in, not even assessing typically what is arising. So by the time we're adults, we are literally using those suppressive mechanisms. Being one, we hold our breath, specifically the exhale, because that's where things come out. Two, we tighten our bodies all kinds of places, all kinds of ways. Three, we clamp down on our jaws. And four, we constrict our throats. So we are unconsciously using those repressive mechanisms hundreds of times a day. Minute clenching of the jaw all day long, bodies rigid, breath barely moving. Not even aware that we're doing it. Thinking that what we're feeling is normal, but not understanding it's not natural to feel all bottled up. It's not natural to feel this tense. It impacts our sleep. How do you go to sleep when you're in a state of tension all day? That unintegrated material that we've suppressed throughout the day, what happens to it at night? Well, it sits right there like a big lump inside of us, waiting for us to be present to it. That doesn't feel so good because that's the last thing we want to be with, right? And what we call stress is often the experience of a lot of energy rising up simultaneously. So maybe emotional energy, maybe physical energy. Let's say we have a challenging conversation. Let's say we have, a fender bender, whatever the case may be. A lot of emotion comes up. Now we clamp down really hard to keep it together. And at that point, we can't help but notice how incredibly uncomfortable we're feeling. How the body is so rigid, it's achy, and there's emotional chaos inside. And the mind is looping because it wants to connect to the unacknowledged energy within us. What we call depression is often holding in the energies of anger and grief. Emotional energy is physical energy. We feel it in the physical body. And we either let it through us or we hold it in. And in our culture, we're typically holding it in. Anxiety is holding fear in. Faster moving energy that could potentially enable us to run fast from danger. But then when we hold it in, it creates racing. So what we do with breath is prayer, is we open up to receive the miracle of this breath. We breathe consciousness to bring consciousness into our body. And we allow this conscious, connected breath to flood our whole body and being with oxygen, life force energy. We bring presence to ourselves. And do you know that this is what we are actually longing for? To be present with ourselves. Who knew? Because we've actually been brought up to think we should be focusing everything out here, focusing on the external relationships, focusing on the job, focusing on the world at large. We don't know half the time what we're feeling in our body. We don't know half the time what emotions are there. And maybe we even think on some level, well, we have to be perfect to be present with ourselves, or we have to feel good to be present with ourselves. But over the course of these last 20 years, experiencing myself come home to myself, no matter how I'm showing up, no matter what I'm feeling, no matter what my experience is, there is an unparalleled joy in that. There is the most profound sense of empowering as I realize that I can be with myself, no matter what is happening inside of me. And so I want to invite you to consider a daily breathing practice. Give yourself a week. Just try it for a week. You can do it sitting up. You can do it lying down. Please don't do it standing up. Please don't do it driving. And I want to invite you to try it through an open mouth. If you really don't like that, you can do it through the nose. But the thing is that yes, Mary, I will absolutely lead you in just a moment. I just want to speak to the practice right now. So when we open our mouths, and just try that, just drop your mouth open. Nobody can see you. Drop your mouth open, relax your jaw, and let this breath actually start to come in. And then co-create with that breath and draw it in more deeply. So here is the premise, and we're gonna jump in here in just a moment, and you are going to have the experience. But I just wanted to give you the parameters for your own practice of doing this at home. So at home, 3 to 5 minutes, and you can do it for longer if you want to, but 3 to 5 minutes. And these are the guidelines. If you're going to be breathing through a mouth, allow your mouth to be open. Let yourself receive this gift of the breath. Inhale as deeply as you can. Really allow yourself to expand fully. And on the exhale, let that exhale fall away. Let it release. Let it be easy. Let it be powerful. Let it be free. That's the part of the breath that we have control the most. So this is your opportunity to let it release freely. And the most important part of the breath is to breathe one breath into the next. So you're going to be weaving your breaths one into the next. So I'm going to guide you right now, but you have your homework. 1 week, committing to 1 week, 3 to 5 minutes, putting on a piece of music and breathing continuously. So for right now, I just want to invite you to close your eyes. I want you to invite you to close your eyes and to settle into wherever you are. Settle into the chair, the couch, the floor, wherever you are. Really, sink in. Maybe you just need to shake your body out for a moment so it can soften even further. And with your eyes closed, I want to invite you to feel the weight of your feet on the ground if they're on the ground, or to feel the weight of your hips in the chair if you're sitting cross-legged, or on the floor, wherever you are, feeling the weight of the part of you that is connecting to the support underneath you. Allow yourself to sink into that support and know that your birthright is to be supported. So let yourself receive that support right now, wherever it's coming from. And know that underneath that floor, underneath that chair, underneath that bed is the earth. And I want to invite you to tap into the support that comes to you from the earth, because that's really where your support is coming from. So in this moment, intentionally open to receive the support of the earth in whatever way organically arises for you. Maybe that feels like a softening in the body as you realize you don't have to hold yourself up. Or maybe that arises as an image of the soil underneath you. Or maybe you feel a knowing deep within that you are held by something greater. Perhaps you feel a sense of appreciation or gratitude for the ongoing, unconditional support that is your birthright. And as you continue to receive this experience of being completely supported by the earth, now dropping your mouth open if you're breathing through your mouth, or breathing through the nose or the mouth now, starting to inhale as deeply as you can, filling up completely on that inhale, rising it up to the peak, and just letting that exhale release, and flowing one breath directly into the next. And focusing the mind on this breath, the way it feels on your lips and your mouth, your throat, the way it moves your body, the way it moves through your body. Belly, chest rising and falling with each breath. Opening to receive this gift of life, this miracle. And with each and every exhale, letting go of what you have been carrying that no longer serves, that is not yours. Releasing control, tension, defenses, and protection. Feeling each new inhale as a beginning. Every exhale is a completion. Each breath, each moment, unlike any other. And inviting this breath to take you in deeper and deeper within yourself, welcoming whatever arises moment to moment. Welcoming each sensation, each emotion, leaning into whatever you notice with the breath. And know that every part of your experience is simply here to bring you one step closer to your wholeness, to that inherent wholeness within you. Following the ebb and flow of this breath, this river of life, moving through. Deep inhale, free exhale. One breath into the next. Breathing to be honest with yourself, breathing to be true to yourself. And allowing whatever has been hidden within you to be revealed. Whatever is here, wanting to be known, to be acknowledged, to be heard, to be felt, to be embraced by this breath. Drawing upon the power of this breath to illuminate what is within you in this moment that is wanting to be awakened, Maybe it's your vulnerability. Maybe it's your courage. Maybe your hope. Maybe your sorrow. Meeting every part of your human experience with the breath. All is welcome here. All is welcome here. As you pull back in any scattered energy that was out in the world, out in past relationships, future planning, pulling it in, coming home with each and every breath. What is here, right now. Big, full breaths. Feeling each breath bless you. Bless you with awareness, with life, with healing. And what if you knew that there was nothing that you had to do? There's no one you have to be to deserve this life. It is yours. Yours to be lived. How would you breathe? How would you choose to show up? This one life. And know that your life is unfolding exactly as it should. Breath by breath. Staying with the breath. Staying with yourself. And as you continue to feel the support of the earth underneath you, simply allowing this breath to flow in any way that feels good to you in this moment. Just take a moment to place your hands on your heart and to check in with yourself, to see What is here right now in this moment? What emotional state of being is here? Or what do you know about yourself as a result of just those that short time together breathing? And when you feel ready, whatever it is that you are touching into within yourself, intend to bring it with you. So as you feel to in your own time, slowly opening your eyes and bringing that tingling with life, Mary says, with you. This is life itself. So I won't be with you in your homes when you do this, but you don't really need me. And you know what? This breath is here, just waiting underneath your nose for you to take advantage of it. To let go of what you've been carrying and to bring yourself home. And you can do that any time of the day, but typically we forget to do that. So that's why I can't encourage you enough to have a daily breathing practice. Because when you breathe on a daily basis and you experience what the breath can do for you and what it feels like to pull your energy back from out in the world and come home to yourself. This is the greatest gift that you could ever give yourself. And it's always there. It's always available. It's free. And the daily practice will start to build your awareness to where in the moments where you might go unconscious and shorten your breath, where you might contract. If you breathe consistently, you will start to remember to wake up in those moments, to come home to yourself, to not disconnect, to not abandon, to not ignore yourself, but to be with yourself, to be in the fullness of who you are. So I just want to invite any of you, if you have any questions whatsoever about breath as prayer, to please put those questions into the chat box. And I know that this is a full day, and that we have Deepak Chopra coming up next, which is so exciting. And so I want to invite you to take the time in between our sessions. Maybe breathe some more. Maybe shake your body out. Maybe vocalize whatever it is that you might have learned from this particular session here today. So I'm just going to go ahead and answer the two questions that I see in the chat box. Susan asks, do you have a list of music that works best? Susan, that is a great question. And you know, what I would recommend, if we're going to be breathing for 3 to 5 minutes, I recommend a lot of people are listening to Spotify and Pandora now, and that's a great way to just kind of have music streaming if you don't know a lot of artists, but having music that has some rhythm to it. So what I played for you was a little softer than what I would recommend necessarily doing on our own, because I was coaching you. On your own, see if you can allow the music to juice your breathing up. So something that's got a little bit of rhythm to it. So world music is great. You know, ambient electronic is great, but you really play with it. What I would avoid breathing to is music that you know well. That's why it's great to stream music, because we have associations with music that we know. But you can play with it. Sometimes there may be a song that really speaks to you that you may want to breathe to. It may be very evocative for you. Again, you may or may not want to avoid songs with English lyrics. Sometimes those lyrics can keep us in a more mental place, but sometimes those lyrics can really bring something out in us. So I want to invite you to play with this. Start with the guidelines, world music, rhythmic music, and take it from there. Be your own authority. And Sandra asks, can this type of breathing be incorporated while walking? You mentioned not to do it while standing. Yes, Sandra, I have found that I can do it to, yes, I can definitely do it walking. Just pay attention. You might notice a lot of tingly, you might notice, just be aware of what you're feeling. So, I will for sure say to do it not standing up. And when you're doing an activity such as driving, that's a big no-no. And walking really kind of depends on the person. Some people like myself have low blood sugar, so sometimes that can affect me a little negatively. But you can always adjust it. You can still do the continuous breath, but just kind of take it down a notch. And thank you, Lisa. Lisa says, thank you. That was quite powerful. Thank you, Sandra. You know what is so incredibly powerful and empowering is that you all have this at your disposal and it's always been with you and you get to take this wherever you go. So many blessings to you all. Thank you so much for joining me here today. And the title was perfect, Lisa says. Thank you, Lisa, for that. It was just meant to be. So blessings. Enjoy the rest of this evening. Enjoy. Um, Deepak, Sandra asked, what was the name of the book that I recommended? The book that I recommended is called Change Me Prayers. And the name of the author is Tasha, Tosha, Tasha Silver. And it's a wonderful, wonderful book. I can't recommend it highly enough. Thank you. So, much love, many blessings, and till next time. If any of you would like to experience a longer journey into the breath work, just look me up. Inspired Sedona is my Facebook, Inspired Sedona is my website, and my Instagram. Pretty easy to remember, Inspired Sedona. So blessings, much love, and see you next time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Joey.